All right, hello Rainy Math 8 students. So we are here in fourth period. I am making my video with my fourth period class, so shout out to my fourth period. Thank you guys for allowing me to do this. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that comment or whatever the hell they say. I don't even know what they say. But anyways, so today we are doing lesson 4-1 to 4-2 review. Tomorrow we do have a quiz on this stuff, so even if you were at the walking field trip for Avid, you are still required to do this. If you get a bad score, you are more than welcome to retake this quiz. So without further ado, here we go. It says, for number 1, the graph shows the distance William walked for various hours. So William went on a walk. Maybe he was yelling at his girlfriend, who quite knows. And we're trying to find the unit rate. So for those of you guys who remember from 2 weeks ago, unit rate is how fast William can walk in just 1 hour, okay? Or how many cheeseburgers he can eat in 1 hour, or how many girlfriends he had in 1 week, right? Unit rate always has the 1 as the denominator. So when I look at this graph, I ask myself, how many miles can William walk in 1 hour? And Fernando, how many miles can he walk in just 1 hour? 3 miles. So we look here, right? So the 1 hour, we go straight up, and you'll notice that he's able to walk 3 miles in just 1 hour. So the rate is 3 miles per 1 hour. Nice, easy, very simple for you guys to understand. Okay? When I go to number 2, it says a grocery store is having a sale on oranges, one of my favorite fruits. The cost is in Y, so it's on the Y-axis, and it's in dollars. And the oranges and the number of oranges are on the X-axis, okay? And they are in a proportional linear relationship. So it doesn't matter how many oranges you buy, it will still be the same amount every single time. So it says the situation can be represented by the equation Y equals 0.5x. So it says graph the equation, blah, 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 so on and so forth, right? So first thing we're going to do, I like to draw a table. So remember, a table consists of an X and a Y. And then I like to just list a few points. So I'm going to list 0, 1, and 2, right? I can list as many points as I want, but typically 3 is good enough for me, right? So we're going to use the equation. And the equation is Y equals 0.5x. So if we start with the first one, Y equals 0.5 times 0. So my fourth period class, what is anything times 0? Zero. Only because if you go to the store, Superior, Walmart, Cardenas, I don't care what store you go to, Stater Brothers, if you go there and you take a look at their oranges and you don't buy anything, then you're not going to be expected to pay for anything. So for this one, the answer would be 0, 0. Remember, these are coordinate points. So when I go to my graph, I'm going to graph 0, 0. That's on the very bottom left of the corner, right? So then I go to the next one. The next one would be Y equals 0.5 times 1. So if I were to buy 1 orange, what is 0.5 times 1, guys? 0.5, which for a lot of you, that's like, oh, that's 50 cents. Yes, it is 50 cents. So 1 orange would cost you 50 cents. Now, here's the hard part for number 2. Some of you guys are like, I see where the $1 is, but where the heck is the 50 cents? So 50 cents is simply between the 0 and the 1, so we need to put our point here, right in the middle between 0 and 1. So 1 orange costs 50 cents. And then if I do the last one, 0.5 or 50 cents times 2. What is 50 cents times 2? Or if I were to get 50 cents? $1. So that means that it would cost me $1 if I wanted 2 oranges, and that would be shown here, right? So for tomorrow, we're not looking for this beautiful, nice, straight graph, but I do expect you guys to be able to graph this, and it would look something like that, okay? Because again, you can buy as many oranges as you want, okay? Now, once we graph, then it makes it pretty easy to see, right? So the cost is 50 cents. 50 cents per one orange. Remember unit rate? Unit rate always has to do with how much something costs. Only one of something. Okay? All right, so for question number 3, it says, the 8th grade band is having an ice skating party. It costs $40 for 4 students to attend. Assume that the cost, which is in Y, is proportional to the number of students, which is on the x-axis, right? So how many students are going, guys? To the ice skating party? Oh, dear God. Thank you, Gustavo. So there's 4 students who are going, and Gustavo, how much is it costing? $40. So, Gustavo, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find 4 students on the bottom, right, on my x-axis, and then I'm simply going to put a point at 40. Okay, so for 4 students, it costs $40. Okay? Shiani, what if no students went to the ice skating party? How much would it cost? $0, because you're not going. Why would you be expecting to pay something if you're not going to it, right? So from here, I can make my graph. You only need 2 points to graph, so it looks like that, right? But remember, guys, when we're talking about unit rate, right, when we're talking about slope, when we're talking about constant rate of change, all those things are exactly the same. So we don't want to know how much it will cost for 4 students. We want to know how much it will cost for only 1 student, right? So Ty, how much would it cost for only 1 student to go to the ice skating party? $10, and we can see that right here on my graph, okay? So for 1 student, it would cost $10. So we're going to say the slope is $10 per 1 person. You can either put person or student. It's all the same thing. Student is just more exact. All right, and then for number 4, it says Mason and Connor are kite surfing at their local beach. Okay, so just so you guys know, kite surfing, you're on a surfboard, but then you're attached to a parachute, so you are literally using the air from the ocean or from the winds to surf. Okay, I've never done it, but I heard it's really cool. It says the height in feet of Mason's kite after X seconds can be represented by the equation. So for Mason, the only thing that they did is they gave us an equation. So for Mason, I'm going to put it down here. The only thing they gave us was y equals 3.5x. Whereas for Connor, the information is shown on the table. So they want to know the height of which person's kite increased faster, right? So let's look at Mason, right? If Mason is on this, is kite surfing, after 1 second, what's 3.5 times 1, guys? 3.5. What's 3.5 times 2? 7. So every single second, he's going up 3.5 feet, right? Every single second, he's going up 3.5 feet, right? So this, the 3.5 feet per second, this is the unit rate for Mr. Mason. And then in order to find out how far up how far up Connor is going, we need to look at the table. So for the table, in 4 seconds, how high up has Connor gone? 8, right? So he's gone up 8 feet after 4 seconds, 12 feet after 6 seconds, 16 feet after 8, 20 feet after 10. How many feet is he going up per second?
2.
I hear a 2 and a 4. So here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to take the 8, divide it by 4.
2.
So what is 8 divided by 4?
2.
2. So if you look at all of these, right? 6 and 12, 8 and 16, 10 and 20. That means that every single second that goes by, he is able to go up 2 feet per second. So for Mr. Connor, we simply say it's 2 feet per second. And then the question is, the height of which person's kite increased faster? So, in other words, who's going up faster, Mason or Connor? Mason. So make sure that somewhere here, I'll put it off to the side, maybe do it in, I don't know, green. I'm going to put Mason is going up faster because 3.5 is more than 2. Boom. Easy. All right, so for number 5, it says Grace is selling boxes of cookies for a fundraiser. The cost of peanut butter cookies is shown in the graph, where the cost of chocolate chip cookies is shown on the diagram. So the question is, which type of cookies is less expensive per box, right? So let's start with peanut butter cookies, right? If I go to peanut butter cookies and I go to the number of boxes, the question is, how much does one box of cookies cost if we're talking about peanut butter cookies? Tiffany, if I look at my graph, how much is one box of peanut butter cookies? So I'm going to need to go up from here and then find this one right here. $3.50. So I'll put it down, or I'll put it over here. PB for peanut butter. So peanut butter cookies is 1 box equals $3.50. Right? So that's what my graph tells me. 1 box costs me $3.50. And then if you look at the chocolate chip cookies, the only thing they give us is how much 2 boxes cost or how much 8 boxes cost. So if Eric, 2 boxes of cookies cost $8. So how much does only 1 box of cookie cost for the chocolate chip?
$4.
4, because we do 8 divided by 2 gives me $4 for a box. So over here I'm going to say chocolate chip, CC, 1 box cost $4. Okay? And then the question is, which type of cookie is less expensive? So then Gustavo had asked, do we need to write this out? And the answer is yes. So we're going to say the chocolate chip cookies. Oops, sorry. It says which one is less expensive. My bad. So then we need to say the peanut butter cookies are less expensive. So the peanut butter cookies are less expensive. And then how do you know? Well, because $3.50 is less than $4. All right, for number 6, they want us to find the slope of the line. So remember, to find the slope of the line, you take 2 points, any 2 points, and then remember that it is called rise over run. The rise is like an elevator, up and down. The run is left and right. So first, I ask myself, in order to go from this point, we'll call this point 1, to this point, which we'll call point 2, am I having to go up or down, class, in order to get from point 1 to point 2? Up. How many spots? 1, 2, 3. I agree with whoever said 3. Because I'm going up, that is a positive 3. So here we say plus 3. After I go up 3 spots, I end up out here in the middle of the ocean. So I need to go to the right 1 spot in order to get to the second point. And then the last time I checked, 3 divided by 1 is just simply 3. So the slope of the line is simply 3. You could put 3 or 3 over 1. I prefer the 3. Number 7 is just another example. Here's your point. Here's your point. We'll call this point 1. We'll call this point 2. Okay? So remember, rise is always the first one. Run is always the second one. Rise, I asked my fourth period, am I having to go up or go down in order to go from point 1 to point 2?
Down.
Down. So I'm having to go down 1, 2 spots. So I call that negative 2 because I had to go down 2. And then after I go down 2, I have to go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. So then I'm left with negative 2 over 6. The top number still needs to stay a negative. And then the number that goes into 2 and 6 is what, guys? 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So then my slope for number 7 is negative 1 over 3. So that means every time I go down 1, I go to the right 3. Down 1 to the right 3. Down 1 to the right 3. All right, so for number 8, they give us a table, right? So we have to see how much our y's change. So in class, we did the change in y over the change in x. So the first one we have to look at is my y's, right? So in other words, how do I go from 12 to 9 and from 9 to 6 and from 6 to 3? So what's happening here, guys? Going up?
Down.
Down. Down by what? How do you go from 12 to 9? You subtract 3, so this one should be minus 3. If that one's minus 3, they should all be minus 3, and we could double check that. 12 take away 3, is that 9? Yes. 9 take away 3, is that 6? Yes. 6 take away 3, is that 3? Yes, it is. So for the top one, we had to go down 3. So that's my top number. And then we take a look at what's happening to my x's. So I go from 1 to 3, from 3 to 5, from 5 to 7. So how do I go from 1 to 3, guys? Add 2, which means this one's adding 2, which means this one's adding 2. So over here I put plus 2. Okay? And then from here, a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So this one we can't do anything to a 3. We can't do anything to a 2. So my final answer is just simply negative 3 over 2. Some kids will argue and say, well, that's an improper fraction. Can we change it to like a negative 1.5 or a negative 1 1/2? Sure, you can if you want, but that would be perfectly fine if you did that tomorrow for the quiz. All right, and then 9, 10, and 11 are what we did this week. And these are the ones where you just have to simply label. The first number will always be your x. Second number will always be your y. X, y, x, y. I'm just going to do that for all of these to save a little bit of time. X, y, x, y, x, y. The first numbers are always going to be 1s. The second numbers will always be 2s. And again, to make my life a little easier, I'm just going to do that for all of these. So x1, y1, x2, y2. And then you're going to need to know the formula. And the formula I'll put off to the side over here is simply y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then for each one of these, you just plug it in. So let's start with number 9. So if we do y2, that's a negative 2. Make sure you put subtraction. And then y1 is a negative 4. And then x2 is a negative 3. Make sure you subtract. And then my x1 is a negative 7. So for those of you guys who were in the 7th grade last year, which was each and every single one of you, last year we learned that two negatives right next to each other turns into a plus or addition problem. So negative 2 plus 4 gives you a 2. Negative 3 plus 7 gives you a 4. And then always reduce your fractions. What number goes into both 2 and 4? 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So your answer for this first one, the slope is 1/2. All right, I'm going to go a little faster only because the people who are watching this are like, man, it's already a 20-minute video. What? So 7 take away 7. And then 5 take away a negative 1. 7 take away 7 gives you 0. 5 and then plus 1 gives you a 6. 0 divided by anything will give you a 0. So this one is called 0 slope. The last one we do negative 1 minus 4. And then 2 minus 2. If you take negative 1 and subtract 4, that gives you a negative 5. And then 2 take away 2 gives you 0. Notice that the 0 is on the bottom now. Anything divided by 0 is called error on your calculator, or also known as undefined. That just means you don't have a slope, so we can also call this no slope. All right, that's the end of this review. Please make sure that you study. The only way I know that you watched this video is at the very top of your paper, you put your student ID number after your name. If I don't see that you put your student ID number after your name, I will assume that you did not watch the video and I will not be giving you credit for this review. So my 4th period, who is currently staring at me going, wait, what? You have to put your student ID number after your name, so that way I know that you watched your video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Adios.